Well, the furthest thing I can remember that was radio related, like as a kid, I used to watch the show Martin. I don't know if you remember that show.
Yes.
And on that show, he was a radio DJ. That was his job. So you would get glimpses of him in the studio. And I just thought it was the funniest thing because he was just in there acting a fool. And so I remember like being in like study hall, my little tape recorder, my headset, pretending to be him. What's up? What's up? Trying his mannerisms. So that was probably like my first like connection with radio, like
I love that.
Through a fictional character. And then it kind of unintentionally became a family business somehow.
Oh.
Like my dad was in media, but my older sister, she's probably the radio goat in our family. She's the pioneer. She was on air in a bunch of different markets. We would listen to her. I remember like she would do these mixes and we would be outside playing basketball. Like, we got to turn her on. And she would be the soundtrack to our homemade basketball videos.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so she's been doing it. Then my older brother, he was in telecommunications as well. He moved out to LA as part of like an apprenticeship to be with Power 106 in LA. And he got out of radio eventually, but like, yeah, kind of like everybody doing. My younger brother's doing it. You might have seen him, Garrison. He's still doing it.
Oh yeah, okay.
Garrison King, he's out here doing it. He's been doing it since high school. With my other younger brother that's in between us, they did high school radio. So like everybody's kind of did radio in some form or fashion. And that's not why I got into it. It's not because like, oh, my sister do it. Like, I love to do it. Like, I wasn't really exposed. It's just something that she did.
Yeah.
But I got into it mainly because of my love for music, for one. And then I always say it's the combination of my love of music and me wanting to entertain people. Like I found that I could do that in multiple ways throughout my life, but this seemed to be the marriage of the two. I remember I went to radio school as part of my college. I went to college in Michigan. Shout out to Rochester University. I think the university now. They sent me to a media school. It's called Specs Howard in Michigan. And at the time, you had to you started out doing TV and radio, and then there came a time where you had to choose a focus. You had to either go TV or audio. I was like,
yeah.
Tough decisions. But I mainly chose audio, and it wasn't even for the radio. I just wanted to learn like audio production because at the time I was a wannabe rapper. Making these crazy spoof songs and parody mixtapes. Like the graduation present to the class was me making a double album that nobody asked for. I played it at our graduation party. It was hilarious. But yeah, I just wanted to learn more about, being in the studio and recording and learning all the software and stuff. That built the foundation of like, all right, if I got to use this in a professional world, once the rapper thing doesn't work, what's the more realistic job I can have? And even then it's still a pretty lofty goal of being on the radio. So once I graduated, I moved to LA with my brother who's already out there. My first job was at Radio Disney.
Anytime I've seen them at remotes, they are like super, like they have like cool, like choreographed dances. Like they always just made us look like shit.
No, that team, the street team was legendary. I didn't get to do it. They did come in the studio. Like we would see them out like, oh, you guys are legit.
Yeah. And we're just standing there with like our like,
they got whole dances and routines and stuff. No, it was awesome. It was a great place to be. It was, I transferred. I was working at Target before I moved. So I just transferred Targets until I could find something radio related.
Perfect.
And then I just applied and they let me. My first job was just answering phones, a phone screener for a shift that nobody was even needed phones for. So I was just answering phones, just talking to the kids. We're just hanging out. We're talking about music, talking about the TV shows.
And was it like local or was it like an 800 number that people would call in to talk?
This one was a 800 number. So it was based in LA, but it was all over the country.
Okay, because I remember listening to a Radio Disney where I was from, but I don't know. I know it wasn't based out of there because it was an 800 number.
Yeah. So it was based there. But yeah, we talked to everybody. So we got kids calling in from all over the place. And sooner or later, I worked my way up. People started seeing my personality and creativity. And eventually I got to move on to be like an on-air type of producer for the night show um, with Candace. I don't think she's still there anymore, but shout out to Candace. She was a big part of my radio journey and helping me grow during that time. Eventually, I felt like I had to make a change. So I switched from Radio Disney, moved over to Clear Channel. They were still Clear Channel at the time. Before they were iHeartMedia. Kind of started back at the bottom, was on promotions, street team stuff, learned everything, started doing board op stuff. Eventually did like an on-air, like online show for their sports station, AM 570, for like a brief second. But yeah, talked about sports and stuff. I was in LA for like 8 years. Then I moved to Houston for love.
Oh.
I feel like everything happens for a reason. So
you know, you learned some lessons from it, hopefully.
yeah, learn some lessons. But it got me out of LA because I feel like I'm so like low maintenance and chill. Like I've been unbothered and been in LA forever. But it's so tough to move up in that market. But I moved out to Houston and was producing for sports radio for like close to like a year, which is good times because I love sports too.
Okay.
You know, the love thing didn't work out. And then I got this opportunity to go home in Indianapolis, where I'm from, where I grew up, to do on air there for weekends and stuff. And so it was a tough call because like I try to make this relationship work and then I follow my dreams, put it all out there on the career. So I did that. Ultimately, you know, it paid off because again, another thing, you know, working towards it. It started off at weekends, filling in. And then my boy Buster, he was the PD of Radio Now at the time in Indianapolis. So he saw me. I was on our hip hop station in Indy doing weekends, and he saw the stuff that I was making. He'll always tell you, you ask him what was the moment, like I asked you earlier.
Yeah.
He'll say when I made a music video at like a car lot for like some car remote. He's like, we need this guy over here. So it always story, it cracks me up. But yeah, so eventually like we made a trade where they took me from a hip hop station and he put me on at nights at Radio Now for like 3 years. And it was cool. He was doing afternoons and then he got a gig in Florida in Tampa Bay. So that left afternoons open. So they let me do afternoons for like a year while we was, you know, looking for the replacement. So it was good experience and stuff. Then we got a couple new PDs, and then eventually I had to start looking elsewhere for a gig. Buster came through again after his stint in Tampa Bay. He got a job in Philly, brought me on to be the music director and night show host, and that was like my first full-time job. And so this is like years in the game.
Yeah, it's so surprising to me with some of the people that I think are like that I'm talented, that I'm surprised it takes so long.
Right.
But so situations, right?
Situations. So yeah, it just ended up working out that way. So I was like, oh man, this is great. It's my big break. Get to work with Buster again. And Philly was amazing. Everybody was cool there. Our team was amazing. We were doing some great stuff. Then the world shut down. I had to start letting people go. Unfortunately, I was one of those people. Luckily, my station in Indy liked me enough. They said, hey, you can come back at a part-time capacity and just, you know, keep you afloat, keep you in the business while you're looking for stuff. I was like, all right, bet, cool. So did that for about a year, and then this opportunity in Atlanta showed up to be on Westwood One on a nationally syndicated level, kind of out of nowhere. Yeah, like I would talk, like it was one of the connections I made in Philly, being a music director, and he set me up with the program director down there, and like immediately after COVID. So like when I got laid off, I was like, oh, okay, I'm talking to somebody. Maybe I don't have to go home yet. Yeah. And then like it didn't manifest till like a year later. So I was like, I was questioning the whole time, was this ever really gonna happen?
Yeah. These take forever, it seems. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, I was just almost retired from radio. I was like, man, maybe it's not for me. Maybe I gotta go back to Target, you know? But now we're in a good situation. Shout out to my co-host Nina. Couldn't ask for a better partner. I know we're just getting started, but I'm expecting a lot of great things and a lot more good things to come. But that's kind of the short version of, It's not even that short, but how we got here.
Had you had any experience like working with Nina or like connections with her before? Somebody thought you guys might sound good together and was like, hey, meet each other.
Yeah. That's kind of how it happened. It was like they knew they liked me. I know they were talking to some people, and then they told me, it's like, all right, it's gonna be Nina. I was like, all right, can I like get her number so I can talk to her? They're like, oh no, we'll meet all on a Zoom. So like the first time I met her, it was like us on a Zoom call, and they just threw us right in the fire. We did like a practice little radio show. But automatically you can see the chemistry and the connection, which is rare. So I knew it was going to be special. And then she's a hard worker. So like we both came into this one to make it work. So we were just on the phone nonstop, talking to each other, getting to know each other. And then once we get in the studio, it's just hit the ground running and been putting everything into the show, getting it going.
Had you wanted to do like a show in general, or like you just wanted a full-time gig?
Yeah, surprisingly, I'm so low maintenance. Like I asked for so little. All I wanted to do was like just be full time. I mean, just be on air. But I knew this was special because like one, that's the best kind of radio when you get to do it with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Like as funny as you think you are, you're always gonna get your best stuff when you're with other people. And like, yeah, to do it in like a sort of mini morning show format, I was like, oh, and they're just like giving us like creative freedom. It was like, okay.
Ooh, okay.
This is too good to pass up. This is like almost unheard of. This is like the dream come true. Like when I thought I was gonna be on radio, this is what I thought was gonna happen, or how I pictured it. So, and it's like normal for me because it's nights and I'm like naturally a night owl.
Oh, good.
So it fits me perfectly. Nina, on the other hand, she's having a little bit of a hard transition because she did a morning show her whole life.
Oh, yeah.
So she's learning to adjust, but now we make it work. But yeah, it was like designed perfectly for me.
A lot of people like the show aspect, but not necessarily always like the morning hours. Do you think that whoever like had them putting this together and stuff is because they're realizing that there needs to be more entertainment like during the day? Like that's why they're actually like letting there being freedom and stuff?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think we've all seen when you're in radio, you kind of seen the evolution of radio and all the different, options that are out there. Like you can get the music anywhere. People are listening for the personalities. So big shout out to Louis Diaz. That's our boss who put this all together. But me and Nina love him to death, and he just seems like he has the vision. Like he knows how to put things together and knows where like this is gonna work and what'll work and what won't work. So he has that experience and that vision, and to take the risk on something like this because nobody's really doing something like this at night. But you're starting to see a little bit more and more of it, throughout different day parts, because I think that's what the industry needs at the moment. I feel like social media is my resume for some reason. Like 100%. People see my videos and stuff. I feel like they judge me more off of that content. Like they probably never listened to me on the radio a day in their life. But they're like, this guy, he's funny just because of what they see online.
So were you like a class clown and stuff in school?
Oh my gosh, I was the worst. Going back to the Martin thing, this is what got me in trouble at first because on the show, he would roast his girlfriend's friend Pam all the time. People who know the show know this. Like he's just always roasted Pam. So I thought, to be funny, you just had to make fun of people. So I'm out here roasting people because, I'm doing anything. I just want people to laugh. I ain't think about people's feelings at the time. Then eventually I grew up and realized, like, hold up, I ain't got to make it at people's expense to be funny. So eventually I started just being an all-around fool. But honestly, I'm shy by nature.
Oh, okay.
It trips up a lot of people. Yeah, once I get in my comfort zone, that's when you can't get me to shut up.
What about like, because you seem comfortable like in front of a camera too? Are you kind of default comfortable there?
Yeah, it took a lot of work. It took a lot of work to like just be me at all times. There was a stint. I always tell people after my freshman year in college, because I was homesick because I was in Michigan. I went home for a year because I was like, I don't know if I can do this. But in that year, I was hanging out with my younger brothers all the time and going to their sporting events. One of our brothers played football. And so me and the youngest were out there supporting him and being in the student section. And like me with my brothers is just a whole nother level. Like some people can handle it and some people can't. Because we just talk our own language, laugh at our own jokes. You like you in and you get it or you don't. So some people love us, some people hate us, but we don't care. Like if we're with us, we're making each other laugh. We could care about anything else that's happening outside of us. And that's what kind of I had to like learn that to do that all the time with or without my brothers present, like just be able to be me. And just
they were kind of like your crutch.
Yeah, like I know I can make them laugh, and as long as I'm making them laugh, I don't care about anybody else. But I realized we were making other people laugh at the same time. Like we're funny, we're entertaining. So yeah, I just had to be able to like learn that and be able to, you know, turn it on and just be comfortable being me without caring what other people think. It took a while to get there. Sometimes it still comes out. Sometimes it's a little hard to turn on some days, but definitely learned a lesson from that. So it's wasn't a natural thing. It's kind of been built up over the years.
I would have no idea based on what I see online. I would just assume that, you're just like super outgoing, like always that guy. Like, it's so funny.
I mean, I always have these like ideas, like obviously TikTok's a big help. You just see the trends and then you trying to make them your own. But we've been, like I said, me and my brothers, we've been making videos before we had the phones being able to have them so easily accessible. Like if I thought like if I had a phone recorder, like back when I worked at Radio Disney, I might still be on at Disney. I might have my own show on the Disney Channel.
Oh my God.
I was so hesitant to embrace it. I was like, another social media thing I gotta learn. Because if I didn't feel like I had to be on social media, I probably wouldn't be on it as much.
Yeah.
But TikTok actually ended up being great. It's just been a great resource. It's been a great outlet. It's been a great community. Like people are really good on there, like policing themselves actually. But I get a lot of like content just for like topics of discussion for the radio, not just doing these funny dances and trends, but there's a lot of like whatever you want to find, you can find it on TikTok.
Oh, seriously.
Glad I got on board with it. So if anybody out there is hesitant about it, stop it. Do it.
The Westwood One had like some studios here back in the day, or like a few years ago. How is it set up? And like, are you seeing other people there when you're there, or is it still different because of COVID?
Yeah, it's a little bit like some people have been starting to trickle back into the office. Now our whole building's like under construction, so like people are working from home just because of that aspect, because they're building new offices. But yeah, there's some shows in here that we'll see from time to time that other people in here working. Obviously, we got different schedules coming in at night and doing our thing. So the morning show's usually gone by the time we get there. But yeah, there's other people in the building, but it's mostly on-air people. There's some sales and promotions people in the building as well. And our studio is actually still getting built. We're like technically in a temporary home. So the studio you see me dancing around in now probably won't be the same one you'll see me dancing around in.
When you look back, when you had that crossroad at school to where you had to pick like TV or radio, are you still glad that you went the radio route?
Definitely. I mean, even though it was a long journey to get to this point, I don't picture myself doing anything else. Because for me, it was for the music first. I remember just being like, we had to do different practice shows when I was at that school. I remember I could find like any jam in any genre. Like we would be on the country station. Never heard of any of these songs, but by the end of it, you can't shut me up singing it.
I was on the country station.
Yeah. So like, I feel like I can learn any song, have at least one song from any genre. But I just wanted to be around the music because at the end of the day, I'm a fan first. I like these artists. I love listening to music. I love going to these shows and getting to talk to these artists. It's kind of wild. Like sometimes we take it for granted. I'm like, yo, you talking to these artists. I talked to Avril Lavigne. I was like, hold up. You know how many times I cried to her music? I'm over here talking to her. Like, what?
It is kind of wild. Or even some people, when they meet, people, even just other people that they've met on the radio, sometimes they're like, whoa, that's kind of neat.
Right?
Like I used to listen to that person. Now I'm just like his buddy.
Yeah, we're peers. We're coworkers now.
Right?
So sometimes you got to take a step back and like just appreciate this stuff. Because, it's been a part of my life, like, as far as I can remember. So I just try to remember that from time to time and just appreciate that.
And I feel like now, because of like so much more video and streaming and everything happening, that like radio and TV are kind of like intersecting anyway. So for the people that wanted that FaceTime, that got into radio, that maybe wanted to do TV eventually, they can, be seen more than they could have back in the day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like, yeah, you got to be ready to do video now. It's like, it's part of it. You wouldn't think of it at first, like when you first got into radio, like, no way. Like, you can have the face for radio. I'm like, now people got to see me now.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, I'm so sorry, y'all. But yeah, no, if you're in radio now, you're gonna have to do some video stuff. That's just is what it is now.
Was Atlanta ever on your destination of places to go?
I was open to whatever, especially like being a free agent. And like I said, my bar was so low. Like I just wanted to be full time and just be able to live life. I was looking at a bunch of like small towns and like Mississippi, Alabama, Idaho. I was ready to go anywhere because like, yeah, for me, like the cities are cool and stuff, but like I'm so like low maintenance and basic. Like I don't really need a lot of stuff. Like I'm not like, oh, the nightlife is the best, or oh, they have all the top restaurants. Like you can give me a hot and ready and some Wi-Fi and I'm good to go for a year.
I know you said you like to be around the music, and everybody kind of does radio for different reasons. But yeah, if you were in your dream scenario, living in a chill city, and what would that kind of look like to you?
I feel like the stuff that I like about cities, like you can find in most cities. Mm-hmm. But yeah, being a part, like my biggest thing is I wanted to be a part of the community. Like I wanted to be like, when you think of the city, I wanted to be synonymous with the city, because like you hear me on the radio, you always see me out in the events, connecting with the people. Like one of my biggest examples of that is my guy B Swift from Indianapolis. Mm-hmm. He was on our hip hop station and he's been doing it forever. So everybody knows B Swift, like to the point this guy literally got his own day in the city of Indianapolis, like ordained by the mayor. Is like B Swift Day, because that's how big of an impact he makes, just being involved. And like people don't think of Indianapolis as like one of the biggest cities. I mean, they like to visit, they'll come for conventions or the Super Bowl or something like that, but like people top 10 places to live in, I don't think Indianapolis is going to be on that list, though I love it. But that's what I'm talking about. Like he made a name for himself and just invested so much in the community. Like I feel like you can do that no matter where you're at. It's just the amount of effort and energy that you put into it and try to connect with people and your surroundings.
It seems like too on your journey that you've had to do like so many different positions and learn so many things that because of how media is now, and like, and again, like there's editing and video and so much of that stuff involved. Do you think you're better now prepared for how social media and all that is now?
A little bit. I mean, I always tell people, when you get in radio or just get in anywhere, like learn everything that you can. Like never like be too good to learn. I'll never know it all. So I'm never, above anything or people trying to give me advice or teaching me how to do stuff. But yeah, I've always picked up just as much knowledge as I could along the way. So I'm always still learning, like even social media wise. I'll ask people, who are popping on social media, like, get their advice, like, when's the best time to post? Like, am I using the right hashtags or stuff? Just because there's so much that goes into it. Like you got to be intentional about it sometimes. Like you can't just be posting willy-nilly, like, I just finished this video at 3 a.m.
Right.
And like we want that. I know I want that instant gratification. Like, man, it's so good. I worked so hard on editing this video. They got to see it right now. Like,
yeah, I know. You get excited to post it. I'm like, God.
Like, so you got that patience. So yeah, I mean, the game continues to change, and so I think you got to just be ready and willing to learn, and go with the flow and see how it goes and evolves, and just try to learn as much on the way.
Since you are so like kind of chill and laid back with things, does that become exhausting with all this trying to keep up with social and just the fast-paced world that we're in now?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of work. Like even just with the music, because people are putting out so much music at like a rapid pace. It's just so readily available. Artists can drop it whenever, put it on the internet. So even just knowing what all the hot songs are and just trying to keep up with all the
Oh
new
my
music
God. Yes.
is tough sometimes. But so you can't do it passively. You got to be intentional with it and be ready to work. And sometimes it can get a little overwhelming. I'm like, yo, I've been on TikTok for hours, like not even just for enjoyment, just looking for content and stuff. See what's going on just to stay in the know. But
That's definitely part of it. And I don't think sometimes management realizes that even just soaking it in is part of it, to kind of read the pulse of how people are using the app and
yeah,
commenting and what videos work and not.
yeah, absolutely. So like you don't even have to be a content creator on TikTok, but I encourage everybody just to be on it, especially if you're in the industry, just to see what people are talking about. And like people are yeah, and like we use TikTok sounds just all the time, like because it's like eventually it just becomes one big inside joke, and if you're not on it, like you don't get it. But that's the people who we're talking to these days. So I think you got to know it. Even if it takes a little bit more work, I mean, it's fine.
That's how I know I'm getting older. Like I'll see like a joke on like Twitter and I'm like, sometimes I'll go Google it or I'll like see that it's a TikTok thing. So I'm like, I gotta go look it up. Trying to like keep up with everybody. And I'm like, oh my God, seriously. What do you hope to see in the next few years for you guys in the show, and kind of where you want to go with it?
The main part for me is just we just want to see it grow. I mean, I get frustrated sometimes. I'm like, I got to remember, like we've been here 2 months, 3 months on the air, so it's going to take some time to build our community and build our fan base. But I think as long as we stay the course, I think we'll get there. So I'm excited to see how we grow as a show and how our community grows with us, and get to see the people who were with us day one and to see us a year later. Like, yo, I remember I was the only one guys talking to you. Now I can't even get through on the phone. So I'm excited to see that because I think we'll get there because I think we're putting together a good show. But like I said, it's in the building process and
Yeah.
just getting to know the people and getting to know the city. Like we're here in Atlanta, so I want to get out as much as possible. I mean, I know things are still kind of weird coming off of COVID. We don't know if it's coming back or if it's still around. We don't really know what to do with it.
Changing every day, right?
Yeah. So, but when there are events and there are opportunities to be out there with the community and reach people and talk to them, yeah, I want to be able to down the road see how much we've grown there and like if you come visit Atlanta, I'll know all the spots for you. Right now, I know 2 things, 3 things, two,
Yeah.
the straight line and a square radius. But yeah, in a couple of years, I'll know all the spots, stuff that you can't Google, stuff that everybody doesn't know about. So it just
Okay.
getting invested in the city and yeah, just watching everything grow and try to enjoy the process along the way.